My country, Trinidad and Tobago, recently broke with CARICOM and its stance of a zone of peace in the Caribbean region, choosing instead to align itself with the United States of America and their imperialistic notions of ruling this entire Western Hemisphere. So we seem to have thrown the rest of the region under the bus. Now, I've seen a lot of people from Trinidad and Tobago expressing the idea that we don't need them or they need us more than we need them in speaking about our CARICOM neighbors. This is just an appreciation post for our Caribbean neighbors and how I personally have benefited from a Caribbean identity. And I want to speak first about Jamaica. It feels like Jamaica has given us all so much in terms of ideas and wisdom. So, Jamaica has a rich cultural and intellectual tradition that has benefited all of us in the region and also the entire world, really. For me, it all started when I was still in the womb, and my mother said that my uncle used to play Bob for me. If you are asking who is Bob, this might not be the post for you. When I was doing a master's degree in sociology, I quoted Damian Marley and Buju Banton in my papers. And actually, I learned much more about things like class consciousness and global inequality from reggae music than I did doing a whole master's degree. Then there was my first boss, the Jamaican sociologist, Dr. Dennis Brown, who gave me my first paying job as a research assistant and tutor at the University of the West Indies. Dr. Brown's work opened up my eyes about our place in the global order. And even his very existence actually subverted a lot of ideas that people had about academia because he was a devoted Rastafarian. He presented himself as a devotee of Rastafari. And, I remember like on the first days of class, people would be surprised that he was the lecturer because people have certain ideas about what academia is or what academics look like. But when I finally had a chance to go to Jamaica myself, it was amazing that this wisdom that had fed me my whole life seemed to permeate everything all around. And this was just my experience. I don't know if you go to Jamaica and maybe you stay in a resort or something like that the whole time, you might have a different experience. But I took mini buses and went everywhere, just traveled like a normal person and talked to people and sat on the side of roads and by waterfalls and chatted with elders. And people always had something to teach me in the most humble way. Even the kids that I met in Jamaica were like little walking philosophers. I remember sitting in a minibus and this primary school student in school uniform, little blue shirt and khaki pants, sat next to me. And he was showing me everything that we passed. And he was saying, "Miss, look at this, look at that." He asked me, "Miss, do you like starfish?" I said, "Yes, I like starfish." He said, "I did catch a starfish today, but I let it go." I said, "Oh, I'm glad you let it go." He said, "Miss, do you like lizards?" I said, "Yes, I like lizards." He said, "What about dinosaurs?" I said, "I like dinosaurs, but I don't think there are any dinosaurs now." He said, "What about sharks?" I said, "Yes, I like sharks, darling, but I'm from Trinidad. We eat them there." People in the minibus started laughing. We were passing by a clear green river. He said, "Miss, look at that river." I said, "Yes, darling, it's beautiful." He looked at me and he said, "Miss, but everything is beautiful." And I was like, wow, yeah, that is one way to look at the world for sure, little guru. Thank you, Jamaica. Never change.